and help. Added myself, and it would show me, but it's not. So let's see what we can figure out. And there we go. Hey, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending where you are in the world. Welcome, Tuesday with Todd. This is the 23rd edition of season 5, and we're going to talk about DTF printing and if it's right for you. So what does that mean, right? Well, DTF printing is for everyone. Everybody can use transfers, but should you actually be doing the printing? So we're going to just kind of, I had some questions on some things. So we're going to go over what my thoughts and feelings are on the whole process, and then leave it up to you for you to decide if it's right for you. So once you check in, let me know that you can hear me, you can see me. And if you want to let me know who you are, where you're from, what's in your cup, and what the weather is like, you are more than welcome to do that as well. So let's check in and we'll see how everyone is doing. And Darren, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. What's up, Chuck? Good afternoon, evening to you. Barb, hello from North Central Minnesota. We're 61. Rain later, water in the cup. And then Barb's checking in with both of those. Jose, thanks for stopping by. Renee, good to see you. We're at 60 and sunny in Chicagoland. Water in the bottle. I've got an orange Celsius and a white Monster that's just about tapped out. So we'll finish those up here pretty quick. And Stubborn Bull, thanks for stopping by and seeing us. And who else am I missing? What else do I got in here? And everybody's giving their shout outs to each other. Yes. Chuck has got 68 there down in Florida. He's got Dr. Pepper in the cup. No, I should not be doing the printing. Yep, we're just done. We'll stop it right there, right? If you Facebook user, StreamYard and Facebook don't always play nice together. And when that happens, you become FU. So what you can do, let's head right here, fatdadlive.com. That'll get you into the YouTube side of things while you're there. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be able to see who you are. Dive into your DTF feelings. I will 100% dive into my feelings. I got some notes over here where we went through it, so we'll get through it from there. And from Pennsylvania, that's where you're at. So first up, does everybody here know what DTF printing is? No, it's not the acronym that I knew growing up. It's a completely different one. So in the comments, put 1 if you have used DTF printing or know what it is, or 2 if you have never, ever know anything about DTF. So that way we can just kind of gauge where to go with some of the topic or some of the conversation. If everybody in here knows what's going on, then, I won't get into the real super basics of it. But if we have, at least 1, 2 in here, then guess what? I will go over that material because there's no reason not to, right? So for those that don't know, my name's Todd with Fat Dad Custom Designs, Fat Dad Wholesale. We're with Crafting, Crafting to Cash. We're with Level Up. We've got our hands in a few different things over there. Now, where do I get off telling anybody about DTF, right? Well, here's why. Here's why I tell you. We had DTF printing back in 2020. That's when it was first starting to merge here in the U.S. And when we first got started, about the only thing that was really available at that time were the converted printers. I mean, we're talking summer of 2020. It wasn't until going through that, probably that fourth quarter that we started seeing the commercial ones, and I don't think any of those are around anymore either. But we started in the converted printers. We started with 1, quickly outgrew that and went to 2. We were always having issues with one of them being down, so we brought a third one in, so that way we always had 2 machines going. With that, like I said, we always had 1 down. It seemed like every month we were buying a new head, and on those printers, the head was $500. So the simple math says, hey, if I'm spending $500 a month on a head, and these are the kind of speed that I'm getting, maybe I should just go ahead and start looking really hard at a commercial one. So we looked at the commercial because we knew we were going to be spending less than that, and we started and we got that. We brought in a commercial one. We've had that just about 2 years now, and it's had its ups and downs in that, and we're going to go through all of that. So, I am not I'm not a seller of equipment or supplies, so I'm not here to hey, this is where you need to buy, this you need to go. I will give you my opinions on it. I won't talk bad about any company here, but I will say this: there are some to stay away from, and all you have to do is do your research on those. I'd be happy to tell you in a private forum, whether that's through messages, whatever there, but I'm going to try and keep it as civil as possible here, but there are some things to look out for. So as we go through this, we'll talk about all those processes. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask those in here. Looks like all ones. Everybody knows what it is. Perfect. I love it. Everybody knows what it is. Darren's getting his hellos there. Ones. I hate when StreamYard doesn't want me to share my feelings. FU. Right. And that's because StreamYard and Facebook don't always play nice. That's why we get over there and do it. So, in a nutshell, what's DTF printing? Who's know this? It's a water-based ink getting laid down through a digital printer. It goes through a shaker dryer, which adds an adhesive powder to it, and that adhesive powder then goes through that dryer and it cures, which creates the transfer for you. In a nutshell, that's what it is. Pretty simple. Let's wipe our hands of it. DTF, we're done and over with, right? There's no more reasons to talk about it, right? But it can literally change your business overnight. Why did we get into it? The biggest reason we got into it is we were printing rolls upon rolls of printed HTV vinyl. Prior to this, it was a big chunk of our business, and we saw when this technology started emerging that was going to kill. That the only thing that was going to kill was going to be the printed HTV side of it, because with the printed HTV, you have to weed stuff, you have to mask stuff. It was labor intensive. We had different things to do, but that was what you wanted if you wanted low quantity, high color transfers. You had minimums that were on the full color ones. There were high minimums on things, so it didn't make sense to do it, and that's where printed HTV really stood out, and we could see what the writing on the wall was going to be. And right now, I think this year there was probably only I bet 3 or 4 jobs that we did printed HTV standard, and it was because it was a sub blocker HTV that was going on a digi camo shirt. And so that sub blocker on it would keep that from coming through. So doing that, it just didn't. Now we'll still use that, the printed HTV, for things like that. We'll use it for glitter. It still, has its place for it. But we saw that was going to take a big chunk of our business. And so we invested in it, and we grew with it, and here we are today. And we continue to invest and to grow and work partnerships, because as we're scaling, we see the options of what's happening is that we either need to bring in more help to run these printers, purchase more printers, or work with partners to handle our overflow. And so that's the way that we're going, is working with partners to handle our overflow, and so we can build that system there for it. So I feel we have a good grasp on everything from those desktop ones to what's available now. And they're still available now, and we'll go over each in every one of those for you. So I am going to take some sips here. I think I lost my voice after yelling at dogs today. You want to hear that story? Make sure to tune in tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. for Morning Mindset, and I'll go over my fun day here for you. Okay, so let's get into it, right? DTF printing, when it works, it is amazing. When it doesn't work, you want to pull every hair out for you. It allows you to have those full color, vibrant designs at no minimums, right? You just want to order one. You're going to pay more for it. You're going to pay more in shipping than what you are for that, but you are able to do it. The DTF, the DTF realm right now is just super wide, because you can still buy. You can buy those desktop printers. Any of those desktop printers that you're going to purchase, if it is a single head desktop printer, it is going to be a converted printer. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. There might have been some things added onto it, but it is a desktop printer that's been converted. There's parts of it are in the same, but you're going to have maybe an outer shell that's different. So with those, you're manually powdering things, you're manually curing them. There are some that will let you roll feed, so you are able to print and add a shaker dryer onto it. But a couple issues with those desktop printers. They're slow. Some of them as slow as only 4 square feet an hour. So think about that. If we've got, you've got 20 shirts to do and 4 an hour, you've got to spend 5 hours, right? Because that's printing for it. So they're slow. Those print heads are not made to be DTF printers. They're just not made to handle the ink that's passing through them. And with that comes swapping heads. So that means that, like for us, we're printing enough where every month a head just wasn't working anymore, clogging up. It just had run its course, bad banding issues, or when you would do your print test, you would see that nothing was lining up, and so it was just hey, throw a new print head in it. You can spend a lot of time trying to soak things, do things, but at the end of the day, it's just easier to throw a new head in it. Now, fast forward to the commercial machines, right? So we've got those ones. Now, before we move on. So looking at those those single head units, those desktop models, you're going to spend, $3,000, $3,500 for them. What sounds amazing, right? Oh, I can get into this. But as we get along further, we're going to talk about, reasons for and against each one. And that way you can make that educated decision on if you think it's right for you. So you have those ones. On the opposite spectrum, you will have the commercial machines, which are 2-head or 4-head machines. Now, for a package like that, you're going to be spending upwards of $20,000. So for us, we have a 2-head shaker dryer. It was just around $20,000 when we bought it. So you have that initial investment. But on print speed in that, you can print, 50 square feet an hour, 100 square feet an hour, 200 square feet an hour. It just depends on if you have 2 print heads, 4 print heads, how you have those print heads set up, and then what resolution that you're printing in. So, you can print considerably faster with those. They're a lot more consistent, but they're still not at the point where they're on level with, say, like a Roland, where, there's safety measures in place, there's sensors, there's different things in it. They will get there. Mamaki released a DTF printer, and it's probably the best all-around one. But with that, you're losing some speed with it. So there are pluses and minuses to each one, and with the biggest thing being budget and speed. So we're gonna talk about a few different things going through it. So let's look at startup costs. Okay, on that desktop, and like I said, if at any time you guys have questions, go ahead and ask them. Ask away in here. So before I get started on that, let's see. T-Town, thanks for checking in. What did Reggie do? You'll find out tomorrow morning, but it is amazing. I want to use your DTF print for POD and fulfillment in my shop. We are going to do that. Like I said, it's somewhat up next week. We're really going to play with it. Everybody's back from PU, and then we'll get right into it there. Anime Sports, is it okay to start using industrial DTF printers for newbies? Is UV DTF could be used for shirts? Okay, so 2 questions here. Is it okay to start with an industrial printer? I would prefer that people did, but we're going to go through all this information and you're going to make the choice for you. Is UV DTF could be used for shirts? No. The UV DTF is just like a sticker, whereas the regular DTF is a heat transfer. So those are the 2 things. You cannot use the UV DTF on the apparel. Now you can use the DTF transfer on some other substrates. It just depends on that, and you have to test that for it. But we'll go over some of the other things that we found in here, and like I said, chime in if you got things to go with it. So, like I said, startup costs. If you're getting a converted one, you're gonna have $3,000 to $4,000 in starting up with that, right? And that's gonna get you the printer. That's gonna get you some minimal supplies, some ink, some powder, and it might not even include powder. Some of them don't. Some film sheets, but that you'll be set ready to go. Things that you'll need besides that is if yours is able to do rolls, you're going to want a shaker dryer. It saves on the process. If you're not able to, you're going to want some kind of bin so that way you're able to manually powder these. You're also going to want a way to cure these. Now, Hotronix, the 16x20 autoclam is a hover press, so it does have a space there. You can shut it and you just have it underneath there, and it's going to cure it for you. There are people who use the ovens for it, so like the same oven you'd use for sublimation. The problem with that is the sheet size. Will it fit in your oven? So those are a few of the things to consider there. So, let's say you get everything all in there, $4,000, you're good to go. Well, here's the thing to think about, okay? Whatever you're spending on DTF prints, I've seen some as low as $3. I've seen some as many as $7. There is no right or wrong price for those. I would prefer that we would have started at $10 because for what this technology in, everybody got in, and I think because it was during COVID and everybody was hit so bad, everybody had a ridiculously low price. And when you look at the margins on DTF printing for, say, eco-solvent printing or latex printing, I mean, that printing blows the DTF printing out of the water. And on those machines, the maintenance is way less. Everything is way less on it. So I think we got shot ourselves in the foot from the get-go by setting those prices so low. But looking at what it is, it's going to cost you to print on a desktop printer on average $2 to $3. Okay, on a desktop one, $2 to $3. It could be as much as $4 or $5, depending on your machine and how fast it is. So when you're looking at you can purchase a transfer, for that $3 to $5 range, you're not really saving any money, right? So that's the thing. You're also waiting on that time for that to print, right? It's printing. I can do 4 an hour, okay, and or that something happens and now you have to start over with it. So be mindful of things like that. You're not saving, a boatload, if any at all. Most likely you're not saving any at all when you're using a desktop printer, just because of the amount of volume that it produces. You can place an order and have the stuff too, and you're able to do other things. Now, when you move up to that commercial printer, you're going to spend, depending on where you're getting your film from, where you're getting your, all your supplies from, depending how fast it is, how's that, you're going to be in that $1 to $3 to print per square foot. Just really depends on your machine. Depends on how much ink you're laying down. Depends how much white you're going through. So even with that, even on the commercial side, you're really not saving a bunch of money. Now, when somebody asks me, if I should buy a DTF printer, what do I tell them? I'm like, if you are not printing consistently on a daily basis 100 square feet of DTF transfers, then you don't need it. It's just not worth it because of the amount of maintenance that goes into it, the extra employee that's needed. And if you're not putting an employee in place to run that machine, you're doing it yourself. And now that time is taking from another project. And what do I mean by that? Well, with that, DTF is not a set it and forget it. If anybody has a sublimation printer, hey, if I want to send 20 prints, I send 20 prints, I walk away. If I'm doing the Eco Solvent printer, set 20 prints, set it up, walk away. The white toner printer, set up 100 prints, let it go, do its thing. You're not doing that with a DTF printer. You do that one time with a DTF printer and something happens with the film and it starts to buckle and the head grabs it and it just keeps going to town on it. And next thing you know, you've lost 2 heads. The heads are $1,500 each. So there's a $3,000 mistake that you had. Ask me how I know. Yes, I've done that. And it hurts your soul because there's nothing you can do. There's no replacement. There's nothing back for it. So, $3,000 hit just like that. So you really, really have to think about that. Do I have the time for it? Do I have the space for it? Do I have everything for it? So, what am I needing besides this for DTF? Well, there's other things to consider that goes into it. Maintenance is something to think about. Humidity, the amount of area that you have, your power requirements, venting. And so we'll touch on some of these for you. Now, on your desktop ones, you're going to be able to plug it into a standard wall. Cool. On your shaker dryer, you're going to want some way to vent that. So even if you're curing, say, using a heat press, you're going to want to vent that. The fumes, there's been back and forth whether the fumes are toxic or non-toxic. I can tell you, it looks like a fog cloud. Probably shouldn't be drinking. You probably shouldn't drink it either. You probably shouldn't be inhaling it. So we have a vent system that, takes it out. And that goes for, like I said, whether you're using the heat press or you're using a shaker dryer on it. One of the biggest issues that people run into with DTF printing is, poor print quality, banding, and most times it can be tracked down to humidity. Now, they want between 40 and 60% humidity. Ours really likes closer to the 60% side. So that means, in the wintertime, we got to build a meth shack and we've got to make sure that the humidity stays in there. Because you'll be doing ink loads, you'll be doing cleanings, you'll be doing stuff to bring it back. We also know that when you go on longer runs, let's say like a 30-foot run of a solid color, that you're going to lose some things along the way. So you have to do, a couple print cleanings in there to bring it back. But humidity is the biggest thing. So you're going to want to be able to figure out a way to control that. Now, we have a whole house humidifier that does, I think, like 3,500 square feet. We have that in there with the machine, and it does an okay job of it. If it would be a standalone one, we'd have a bigger area. We'd almost need 2 of them to keep the humidity where it needs to be right there for that. On the power on the commercial one, you're going to want 220 power. So you're going to make sure that you have that. There are some options to bypass the 220 power. You can get some of the step transformers, that will take 120 and turn it into 220. So that way you're able to use it for there. So there are some options. Some are better than other, but the best way to do it is to have a 220 plug for it. Now, as far as space, with a desktop, you can get away with just that, putting it on a desktop, leaving it there. On a commercial one, you're going to want, anywhere from, I think a good safe area is an 8x8 area where that is going to sit. Now you're going to want to be able to walk around that, or depending on your printer, some you're able just to push up to the side of the wall because there's nothing that's going on that side. Everything's on the other side. So then you don't need it, but you'll still need to get behind it, front of it, things there. So let's just say, 2 feet all the way around it, 10 by 10. That's what you're going to need for a commercial printer. So you want to make sure that you have the space. You want to make sure that you have the power requirements. You want to make sure that you have the venting. You want to make sure that you have all of it. The biggest thing that you're going to want to do is research, because a lot of the companies out there are box movers. And what does that mean? That means they have no technical support. They have no real training. They have nobody that is really in there working on the printers, doing the stuff with the printers. They're importing boxes from China. They're sending them to you. They are dealing with all tech support through China. They're doing everything that way. So find out what their support is. Find out what happens, if this goes down. Who do I talk to? What happens when this stops printing? Are you able to help me that? Check the fine print on the warranty. Most places are not covering print heads or ink delivery systems. So they're not covering ink heads. They're not covering dampers. They're not, those are consumable parts. The ones that are replacing those or covering those under warranty, or maybe giving you 1 or 2 heads throughout the year, those ones, that is in their warranty. That's in the price to it. They're just not giving them to you. They have that built in the price. So you're going to want to ask questions like that. What happens when this goes down? Who am I, are you able to print for me? Are you able to not print for me? How often are you out of supplies? There's a lot of research that needs to be done on that side of things. But as far as is looking at, what did I miss on there? Maintenance. So maintenance is another thing. On the desktop printers, we would probably have half hour to an hour maintenance a day on that. And it could be more. It depended how the print day went, because you're making sure everything's clean before you start the day. You're making sure everything's clean when you're ending the day. You're stopping throughout the day to give it a couple cleans. Sometimes you might have to shoe shine the bottom of it to get the gunk off of it, because, hey, remember, these things don't have easy, they're not easily accessible. They weren't made for that. Now on the commercial one, you might have 10, 15 minutes a day, because it's easily accessible. It's made for it. It's gonna be wet cap. You're gonna be able just to run a cleaning, 2 cleanings in the morning, and you're off to the races. On the other one, on the desktop one, might not be that way. Sometimes you might be printing for an hour. That's what's kind of started my thing of making sure I was in the office at 5 every morning. So that way, if I had 2 or 3 hours to get everything going in the morning before the day really started, because there's times I needed that because the printer just wouldn't print. There's different issues. There's different, different sensors that go bad. It is crazy. And when it comes to DTF printing, that the old, I think, was it Brian, you and I that said that, or Brian had told me that, when it comes to the printers, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. If you have one printer and it goes down, what are you doing? If you have one printer and you're selling your prints at the rock bottom price of, $3, what happens when that goes down? How are you servicing your customers? You're buying prints from somewhere else that's most likely more, and add the shipping into it. So now you're going to lose money on every job that you put out there. So you really need to have an understanding of your cost, what it's costing you for it. You need to be pulling money back because you're going to need these things. You're going to need dampers. You're going to need heads. You're going to need cleaning solutions. You're going to need the sponges. You're going to need all that. So it's something to really think about when it comes to whether or not DTF printing is right for you. So before I get into the next section here, let's see, check in where it is. Rye, it is still not Dr. Fungus Toe. Rye is trying to make this a thing. It won't happen, sir. It will not happen. Rye's in here. Ryan says 6 to 7 is a good price for a 12 by 12. But yes, it should be 10 to 12 for a full color print. Absolutely. And, the market killed itself right from the get-go because there was nothing else. The closest thing was printed HTV, and you still couldn't do a lot with it. And yeah, we totally killed it for it. And $7 is the average for a 1 color print. Just keep that in mind for screen printing. Just here, see. Rye, have you released your video yet? Have you released that video yet? If not, I believe go give Rye a follow, because I believe he has a video coming out on his Omni experience. I will leave it at that and let you be the judge on it. Do you have a suggested brand, company, to supplier the DTF print in China? No, because I 1000% recommend against that. And we'll get you. We'll talk about that later on why, and then we'll go from there. Rena, come over to YouTube. Yeah, Rena. Yeah, Rena, get over here. Get over. No, yeah. And Brian, yeah. That's a military saying. Yep, 2 is 1, 1 is none. Always have a backup. That's what it was. Much better. Thanks, Renee. There you go. So yeah, that's that's something to where we what cost to print for it. Now we'll get into if you have questions, ask away, ask. Be the assholes now. Ask everything that you want to, because I'm going to do my best to answer it all. Now, where do I purchase a DTF printer from? I would never recommend buying a printer from Amazon. I would never recommend buying a printer from overseas. And here's the 2 reasons why. Most everything you're going to get on Amazon is a converted printer. We've already established I would not recommend getting those. They're just not cost effective for you. You're honestly, I don't think you'll ever make your money back on it. You've got a $3,000 investment that you need to start recouping money. So while you think you're making money, are you saving up for the print head? Are you saving up for this? Are you saving up for that? It's tough, especially when print heads up for that machine can be between $400 and $700. So you're trying to make money off it. You're not efficient with it because of how long it takes. So that's out for me right there. Now, as far as importing from China, I don't recommend that at all. Sure, you might save, a couple $1,000s, but what happens when that machine goes down, right? Hey, when that machine goes down, who are you reaching out to? You're reaching out to China at 2 a.m, and you're hoping that they can do it. And they might overnight you parts. They might not. So now you're sitting waiting on parts. You're waiting on service. You're trying to figure everything out on your own. Everything shows up Chinese, so you're trying to run it through your Google Translator to understand what you're supposed to do. And it's not the best user experience. And when you go down, you're down. So when I look at it, yeah, I might save, a couple $1,000s doing that. But to me, I wanted, even though I know that everybody is importing machines from China and rebadging them, there's no problem with that. Those companies are not making any money off reselling those machines. And the reason being is because of the service that they have to it. You think they send it out and it's just like, okay, there you go. We never have an issue with it. No, they spend so much time, with different people having issues with the machine, trying to get it set up, trying to do this. So now, when you purchase it, here's some questions you're going to ask. You're going to ask, hey, what kind of service is available after the sale? Like, I'm buying this. How does the install work? Are you on site for it? Is it just a series of videos that I have to follow? Is it a Zoom meeting and we're walking through stuff? Is there nothing? What am I getting? How am I setting this up for me? Because if you don't know what you're doing, I, in my gut, feel that if you are not prepared to tear your printer down to the frame and rebuild it from the ground up, DTF printing is not for you. Because there's going to be things that you have. There's going to be issues that nobody's had before. You're going to be that guinea pig. It just happens. It just happens with it. And when you go into it knowing it, you're fine. So buying from China, sure, save that money, but where's that support? How is that going to happen on the back end? And then as far as supplies, I buy supplies from my supplier. If I have an issue with film, I can call them up and be like, yo, I think we might have an issue with film. Has anybody else ran into this? Here's what's going on with it. 9 times out of 10, your supplier will take back the film and get you taken care of. Why? Because they don't want that to happen. Good luck doing that from China. And most things from China, they want you to order by the pallet, right? Otherwise, it's just not cost effective. Sure, you might be saving some money, but you're also waiting that time. I can place an order. I can't place it right now because it is after 5. But if I have my order placed by 2 p.m., my materials ship out today. I'm a 1-day ship. I have it tomorrow. So I have my build to number of what we have for ink, what we have for powder, what we have for film. And when it drops below that number, I order it and it shows up the next day. I don't have to keep hundreds of rolls or hundreds of liters. And I don't have to, when you get those in, to make sure that they're climate controlled. Because if they're not in a climate controlled area, your film can start leaching in of that humidity. And that will change the way that it performs. So there's a lot of things to consider. Just because you can order from China doesn't mean you should. At least in my opinion. I'd probably take that, I'd fight anybody on that, on the reason to not do that. There are companies that people swear by here in the States to use because they've had nothing but great luck for them. And then you start researching and you see for every one that has had great luck, there's 10 that have had horrible luck. And It's the same way in China. For every one person that's good, there's 100 that have had a bad experience. So I can't get behind that. There's no reason for it. And if you're in that mentality of, hey, I'm saving thousands of dollars by doing this, when it comes to your business, is that something you really want to risk on? Is taking thousands of dollars for it? They can even on this through the company that we go through, American Print and Supply. I have no problem talking about them because they've always treated us good. They're here local to us, and by local, they're less than 100 miles away. They've always did us really well. The stuff that we order gets shipped out the next day. But if the printer's in stock, they're setting up appointments. Hey, well, when do you want us to deliver it? When can we get you set up for training? When can we do this for you? When you're ordering from China, it could be 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, 90 days. And the 90 days is the really scary one because a lot of people are putting these on credit cards. And then what happens? After that 90 days, you can't do any chargebacks. You can't do anything. So now you're stuck with the machine. And you think that you should be able to sell it for what you paid for, and it doesn't work. And it needs new heads. So right off the bat, it needs $3,000 in heads. So yeah, I'm not super on board with that by any means. Let's see. Rye has not released on script. Maybe just give me the transcript to it, Rye. I will read it. I will block out their name and let everybody else draw the conclusion. So let's do that. Yeah, in here, Brian Nuts, we have a friend in the industry who he switched his business completely over to DTF printing. I think he's up to 6 of them now, and he learned Mandarin to deal with tech support. Like those are the things that you have to be there. Don't be scared. Yeah, 100%. Definitely be scared of DTF. There is no easy button for it. There just isn't. It takes work. It takes knowledge. It takes skill. It is not like the majority of the other digital print processes out there where you can just print and you're good to go. Like there is way more to it today. As of 12 today, my printer is down. Oof. I know a guy that can help you. Man, if only somebody would have warned you about buying that printer. Man, this is what this community is for. It's for helping others not fall in the same decision. And then if you hear this information about who not to buy from, what not to get, and then you decide to do it anyway, I mean, unless they're giving it to you for free, make your own bed, homie. Just give me shit. We will definitely have drinks over this at Long Beach. We're the suppliers of commercial DTF printers in North America. Canada, if there is. Canada, I'm not sure. I will say that I'm not sure in Canada. But I think two of the most reliable DTF printers in the country is going to be American Print and Supply and DTF Superstore. Now, DTF Superstore is who we started with. And when we went out to Long Beach to purchase our equipment, one of the deciding factors of it was American Print Supply was only less than 2 hours away. So being able to go there if need be, being able to have on-site help, being able to have them close to us, being a one-day ship for it, that was the really big factor of it. Because with DTF Superstore being in Arizona, it was a 3-day for us to get stuff. So we really had to plan for it. And so it was time to make the leap. That's what we did. Now, Andy from DTF Superstore has done, tremendous for the industry and is constantly growing it, trying to make it better and pushing the envelope of what can and can't be done with DTF and providing a lot of great knowledge out there. Rob over at American Print Supply has an amazing tech team behind him, and that's what he built the backbone of the business on. Is his core was the screen printers, the high volume screen printers that needed that solution for it, the people that were buying 2, 3, 4 machines. And I just fell in with that because here's where we were close. And, at the end of the day, it all comes down to supplies. They said none of these companies are really making anything off of printers. They're making it off their supplies. That's where they're making it off of. And a lot of them, when you look at it, there might be some fine writing that says, hey, guess what? Now, if you want this warranty to hold up, you need to use our supplies. For the next year, whether we're going to cover this or 6 months or whatever it is, you need to order all your film through us. You need to order all your powder through us. You need to order all your ink through us. Why? Because that's what we tested that machine and that's what we know works. And if you try and use somebody else's ink and they find out, they're going to void the warranty on it. If they're going to ask questions like, hey, can you give me the lot number off the bottle of ink? Because you're going to, especially when we got started. When we got started, man, there was so much trash coming in from China, and people didn't know until they were using it. And so, DTF Superstore took a bunch back because it, just didn't know. And so they're asking a lot numbers and we'd find stuff. China was really good about, hey, so somebody ordered a container of film. Yeah, let's throw in a couple pallets of crap film because we can unload it and we'll mix it in. So every once in a while they're going to have a bad one and they're not going to think anything of it. So there's some. That's another reason China is not the greatest to buy direct from, because they can do the same to you and you have no recourse from it. So that support after the sale, look at that fine print on the warranty. What do I need to do? Who do I need to buy from? Am I able to get things from other vendors, other places? So those are the two that I really feel comfortable with. Now, when it comes to other companies, there are other companies in the industry that are not specifically on the DTF side of things. One of Equipment Zone. Equipment Zone is one, and one thing that I like about them is they will not sell printers to some people. They just say you're not ready for this, and the reason they do that is they don't want the hassle of it on the back end, which I applaud them for. Not everybody should be doing DTF. In fact, I feel comfortable saying that 90% of the people with DTF printers shouldn't be doing DTF because of how their business is, what limited knowledge that they have. One of the big problems I see with DTF is with it being a digital technology. The copyright and trademark violation is run rampant. You can turn on any YouTube channel, you can turn on TikTok channels, and you can see it clearly all over. And so people get into this thinking, I can print money and I can do this. And then the man comes and shuts you all down and takes all your stuff, and then you don't have anything. So, it really comes down to what you're doing it for. Now, those are the two there. And like I said, American Print and Supply. There are two companies I would stay away from. If you can catch if you can pick up what Ryan's putting down, that's one of them. There's another one that's down in Florida that I would not go to just because of the after the sale service. And to me, that's the most important thing, that after the sale service. What happens after I buy this? What are you doing for me when I go down? What are you doing for me for tech support? Do I have a designated technician that's going to work for me? Like us, when we got our machine, we had issues from day one with it, where things just didn't work right with it. And they did a lot of the setup there, and then we did the setup. And we started having issues, and then a board went and took some heads. They flew in a tech. They went through the machine. We put in 2 new heads. We put in a board, figured out some other things with it, and we're good to go with it. Now, since then, we've replaced a couple more boards and a lot more heads, and $10,000 maybe in the last 2 years, conservatively. That hurts my gut to think about that. Probably $10,000 we've spent on that. You know how much I've spent on my Roland in the last 5 years? About $1,500, maybe $2,000, and that's head replacements, dampers, cap tops. There's just general maintenance things. So there's a big difference there. I can get a print head for my Roland and it's $700. Getting one for the DTF is $1,500. Big difference there. So think about things like that. Really, how much are you printing? What are you doing? Now, let's see if we got anything. What else do we have in here? What else do we have in here before I get on the next one? Yeah, you do. We'll drink for sure in Long Beach. Post that video. Post it. Right. My local shop ended up grabbing one. Let's just say it's been sitting for a bit now. Oof. Don't be a rye hole. Listen to your friends. Love it. Don't be a rye hole. We're going to make that in a shirt. Ryan, you could print us out some shirts that. No, you can't print us out in shirts that say that, can you? Is that a low blow? Might have been. Those guys Ryan posted a video might be the way to go. With the head replacements are free is super nice. But it's not free because the amount that you're paying for it, because you're paying that extra for the cost of the machine for that head. You're also paying in supplies. Rye pays a crap ton more for supplies than I do, and he has to use their ink. He pays a crap ton more than that. So until he can get out of the warranty, then he's just stuck with it. He just stuck with it. And see, you're welcome. Stubborn. Send it to me. I need parts. Are DTF printers manufactured in the U.S.? I have not seen one that is manufactured in the U.S. Now, it's hard to say how much equipment in the printing industry is manufactured in the U.S. I can't put a number on it. I think on the screen printing side, you might have some of that manufactured in here, but on the digital side, Everything's coming from overseas. Everything's coming from Asia one way or another. So to have a ground up built one in the US, I don't think there is one. To have one that might be assembled here, I don't think there's one. To have one that is majorly here with parts imported there, I don't think there's one. I think everything is coming in from overseas. Barb says, yep, I probably fall in that 90% that shouldn't have a DTF printer, but I won't stop at this point. That's exactly right, because you get in too deep, right? It's like being addicted to crack. Once you're in, you're just in. I'm just an addict, and I'm going to do my best with it, and I'm going to try and really, really, do my best to walk away from it, but I can't. I'm stuck. I'm stuck to the drug. And here's one of the reasons that I say when it comes to DTF printing, should you be doing it? Okay, so let's say you are going through a boatload of transfers, right? I'm running through 100 shirts a day in transfers, and so I think I'm ready for this. That's consistent. I've been doing it 3 months now. Okay, that's cool. But when you bring that printer in house, how is your workflow going to be affected? First, do you have the space for it, and then second, do you have the manpower for it? What do I mean by that? Who's running that machine? If you're a solo operation, that means you are giving something up so you can now babysit that machine. Ryan's case, he's no longer screen printing as much because he's focusing on DTF. So he can't do both of them at the same time. He can't walk away from the DTF printer. He's got a manual press. So he can't do both at the same time. So that means you are giving something up to do this. It's just a fact. You're not walking away from these. You're spending the time doing it. So either you're doing it or you are having somebody else do it for you. It's up to you to decide which way you're going to go with it. So now if you're hiring somebody to bring it in, well, now you got to make sure to pay their wages in that. So remember when you wanted to sell rock bottom because I can beat everybody's price? Well, how does that factor into this? So it takes time. It is not a quick thing. I would say when we first got started with the converted printers, it was a good 3 months, $1,000, 3 months before we felt comfortable selling our prints because of just testing it, making sure things worked. Now on the commercial side, it wasn't nearly as bad. We were good to go within, the first, I'd say 100 feet of a roll of film because it was just dialing in settings. We knew what we were doing. But you want to test this. You want to know what you're doing. Not all DTF transfers are created the same. Not all of them are going to feel the same. Different powders there, different inks are used, the different ways that they're cured. A lot of that matters. And some are thicker, some are thinner, some you can put on a shirt, and you can put white on a shirt and be able to see still black through it. Some of it white on a black shirt stands out no problem. How do they feel? Well, you're doing a big design like this. Like this could have been a knockout, and the black would have been the shirt, and it would have felt a lot better. But since we put these on various color shirts, it's there. What does it feel like? It feels like a big transfer, folks. It's a big image, and that's what it's going to feel like. It's going to feel like a big image. There's things that you can do to help soften it, but when you look at a full circle like this in screen printing, it's going to feel about the same. So I think a lot of people get hung up on that, and the people that really get hung up on the most are printers themselves. Look at what's out in the industry, and even just go to a store and look at shirts and feel them. That's enough that needs to be said. Nobody that is out there is buying shirts, is picking a shirt off the rack and going, oh, this feels awful stiff. I'm going to go ahead and not buy this. That's never not how it works out there. They flew out of tech. And that was the thing is, here it is. Like I said, they're 2 hours from us. The tech that they brought in, we're in Illinois. The tech that they flew in was from Georgia. So they flew him in because he was our tech that helped us set everything up through the thing. They flew him in. They had him here for a day. We went over stuff, and then he actually went down to the warehouse, so it worked out pretty well for them. But yeah, they flew him in here. They had the part shipped to me that I was going to need ahead of time, and I put it in there. And so those are the things that you want to talk about. Now, a lot of that, is probably taken care of from that get-go, when having an on-site install where that's what they do is they show up. It's either, most times it's two of them that come and do the install for it. Thoughts on Uninet? I know they are more known for their white toner stuff. I personally don't know a whole lot about the Uninet stuff, but on the white toner side, I know that if there's one white toner printer that people have the most issues with, it's the Uninet. I do know that, and you can look in any group and see that any of the white toner groups and see the majority of the people that are having problems with white toner is with the Uninet. We have the Creo, We've had it over a year now, and we have not had any issues with it at all. And I think in the beginning we might have had some setting issues, but we were able to get on the phone with them, get a call, walk through, see everything that we need to answer all our questions. They're like, yeah, anytime you need it. We got ours from the Magic Touch. So that's something to think about too. Is is there that phone support? When is that available for? Did somebody say drinks in Long Beach? Yeah, we're going to be on that boat. We're not going to do Vegas this year. Vegas is the week of the Super Bowl for APA, and flights for us to try and make it worth it. It's like we'd have to do Sunday to Sunday, and that would means we'd miss our home Super Bowl party. But with the Super Bowl being in Vegas, well, yeah, APA is not gonna happen this year. But Long Beach, like 2 weeks before, that'll happen. I'm sure Ryanette will have a huge old party somewhere, and we can definitely do drinks there. But we should probably set a meet and greet and do that somewhere too. Barb says, I like the company you didn't like in Tampa, but all my embroidery machines and white toner from them have not had an issue with their tech support service. And see, for everyone, there's more. I had a horrible experience with the one down there. Absolute horrible experience. And I was trying to spend money with them. And what really sucked is that that was with our Pro Spangle machine. We only had 2 places that we could buy supplies from, them and then Mesa, and then they bought Mesa, and so now all supplies are coming from them, and I'm so thankful that we got rid of it, so I didn't have to deal with them anymore. It was after the fact. I was reached out to because of my following, and they didn't realize it before. I said it's too late now. I'm like, there's no way that this is going to be fixed because of the way that it was handled, and I will keep most of my stuff to myself, but yeah, it is not somebody I would purchase through. I would. It's to the point that if, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Some people have amazing service with them. If you're one of those people, I love you to death that you were able to have that, but the majority of them don't for one reason or another, and it sucks. It sucks when it seems that way. Darren says, I definitely don't need one. The last thing I needed is another plasma table. Yeah, right. Well, at least the plasma table, you can let the plasma table set for, 3, 4, 5 days and have no issues. That's something to consider on those desktop models of the DTF printers. Ours, we couldn't let set more than 2 days without running some kind of cycle through it. Clean print heads, doing something, because it would clog the print head. We found that out early. It scared us every time there's a long weekend because we knew we were going to have issues. I got to the point where I was pulling dampers out and I was flushing it every time because I didn't want to have to worry about a print head going bad. Now, on the commercial one, we've been gone for a week. Yeah, last summer, because we've been gone. It was last summer was like when we went down to Atlanta. It scared the hell out of me to go there for. We were gone for a week. We came back. I ran 2 head cleanings, and we were at 3 head cleanings, and we were back off to the races, and I'm fine. It's because it was what kept with it. The system was built for it. Now they don't have any auto certs like on the my Roland Versacam. That bad boy will just start up, do a cleaning on its own, and do it there. DTF not to do it on that point for it. It is. DTF is a hell of a drug. I have my DTF in the same area as my embroidery machine, so I can keep an eye on the DTF and do embroidery at the same time. So Barb does this all day. She looks, because I can definitely see it. Right. Rye would need to put in another ticket request for the tech to show up then. Yeah, right. I'm literally touching and stretching a Warriors basketball hoodie logo. It feels the same. It's still a transfer. Well, and that's the thing is, that's what a lot of them are using. It just makes sense. We're the only ones that do that. Real customers don't go out. They're not doing that, right? I mean, what was it 3 years ago? Kanye was selling a white T-shirt for $300. People are just buying it because of the name. Who don't care what's on it? It's who's pushing it for it. So, all right, where were we on DTF? I think I gave a lot of information there. Does anybody have any other questions, comments, concerns with it? Because I probably go a little more in depth on some things. Go into it. You can't ask me anything on like software side of it because we've used the software that came with our machine, and it's worked great for us. And it's the Epson with the Flexi. We haven't had any issues with it, so there's no reason to switch over to CAD Link. There's talks that we're going to though so that way we have better color management. But with that, it's still a digital image. So what looks like on your screen versus my screen, I mean, I can move between the three screens here, and that image is going to look different on all three monitors. So that's something to consider there. But we really don't we haven't had any issues with the software side of it. So with the, in DTF printer, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just keep rolling with it. There's no real reason to think like, oh, I should just get this because everybody else is getting it. This is what I need to do. But DTF printing, I feel in my gut of guts that, like I said, 90% of the people don't need it. Do your cost analysis on it. See what it costs you to print, how many prints you have to print to get that back. I mean, I've messed up hundreds of rolls of film. Yeah, like when you add them all together because something didn't go right or something wasn't curing or something was here. So it was like there's 10, 20 feet at a time. Gone. 30 feet, 50 feet. Catching something after the fact that I set up wrong. And that's just boom, out the door. There's nothing you got to account for that. And that's where pricing is where it is. When you're ordering transfers, you hit a button, submit, it shows up, you press. You don't have to all that worrisome that goes into it. It's just like outsourcing anything else. You don't have that worrisome about it. You don't have that investment in equipment. You're able just to press, print, profit, done. What is it? Press, peel, profit, done. Right? I know Michael Kaminsky had something like that. Print, press, profit. That was probably right, but I think that's the same thing. So you really have to look at the numbers. The numbers will tell you. But if you're not printing or if you're not ordering, 100 square feet of transfers a day consistently 3 months in a row, it's probably not for you because, these machines like to run. The commercial ones do not like to run. The commercial ones like to run. They like to eat up that film. They like to go through a roll of film a day, 350 feet, 325 feet. They like to go through that in a day, no questions asked. But you want to make sure you have the business for it. If you're only going to be printing a couple hours once a week, it's not for you. It just isn't. I'm not going to say you're wrong if you get into it, but I will say if you complain later on about things, I will say I told you so. I will say that. A white Gildan shirt at that. Yeah, it wasn't anything to it. I put in 2 today. Oh, right, we got to talk. How are you printing your color swatches? Are you even doing that? Nope. I mean, we haven't printed. I print a color swatch. So the way that we've done it is there's some customers that that want to hit their team colors or their corporate colors, the stuff that they really want to hit. So what I tell them to do is, hey, submit a color swatch for what the film, what the color area is that you want, and what we can do is we can print that out for you, and we'll send it with your next order, and then now you're able to, all right, get this now. Here's the color that it was on your screen. This is the color it is. Okay, that's the color I want. I'm going to make all my designs in this. And so that's how we handle that on the side. Don't do it. You don't need to meet the manufacturer. It's a headache. It is. And that's the thing is, it is a giant headache to do it. 100% giant headache for it. And while everything, is supposed to be, fun and roses, and they'll say you only have to sell 30 shirts to make money and to pay for itself. I'm telling you, that's not true. It's always 30 shirts. You ever notice it doesn't matter the piece of equipment? It's 30 shirts. That's all you got to sell is 30 shirts and it pays for it. Where that number came from, but it's just not there. You want to be able to really push your stuff through. You really want to be able to spend less time doing maintenance, less time doing troubleshooting, and more time actually operating the press. That's the easy part. Pressing is the easy. Get the shuttle press that Ryan has. It's even easier. You hit the button, right? So it's just you don't want to be the manufacturer. It is very laborsome, cumbersome, especially at high volume. Like I said, let's say you get a desktop and it's only it can do 7 square feet an hour. Still, you got an order for 35 shirts. It's going to take you 5 hours to print out transfers. And if you're doing it sheet by sheet, that means every 7 minutes you're pulling one, you're letting it cure up a little bit, you're adding powder to it, you're shaking it, and then you're curing it while the next one's going. So maybe you have 3 minutes to spare while you're doing it. You're not getting anything done in that time. Barb says, I use CAD-Link software for DTF and white toner. I learned how to use it first with the white toner, and DTF is a digital factory. I use CAD-Link for our white toner as well. But like I said, I had no reason to spend the extra $1,000 on the software for it when ours is working there. So with that, we're coming up on the end here. I think we're supposed to go to dinner, so I was told to keep it on point and on track tonight. So hopefully you got some information on DTF. You feel a little more comfortable making the decision. If you still have questions, just reach out to me. Pretty accessible. You can find me everywhere. Probably the easiest thing to do is just head over to fatdadcd.com. That'll get you into our link tree with all of our information, so that way you can email me, message me, find me online, do everything that you need to go there. Coming up the rest of this week, tomorrow morning, as in every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have Morning Mindset, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure while you're here to like and subscribe, so you'll get that notification tomorrow when we go live. Thursday, there will be a bundle drop. There may be a sneak peek tomorrow on that bundle drop. We shall see. New updates into our pages. But until next time, you guys have an amazing day. Hopefully you were able to get something from this. I'm not sure topic for next week yet. We're still trying to bang out the details on it, because it depends if I'm going to be here at somebody else's shop. So we'll know more about it. But you guys have an amazing night. Peace, love, press on. We will see you guys next time.